Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I haven't filmed in a really long time, but I'm feeling super creative and inspired to create more videos and put it into the YouTube channel. And as you can tell by the title, I wanted to talk about my top 4 books to recommend to any and everybody that can greatly impact yourself and your relationship. And of course, there are so many incredible books out there in the world that I have yet to read, and I just feel like these books itself is a phenomenal foundation to anyone who is single or in a relationship currently to understand, get tools, equip new language, and really implement that into your relationship. And I feel like you will definitely see a huge shift, positive shift of course, for you and your romantic partner. And I would even say you and yourself, you and anyone that you love in your life. It does not always have to be romantic. So let's begin with the first book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. I feel like a lot of people know about the 5 love languages, but I don't know if a lot of people have actually read the book. So if you know the 5 love languages, right, it's words of affirmation, quality time, gift giving, acts of service, and physical touch. So we know the 5 love languages. This book really goes into depth of the importance of knowing your partner's love language, helping your partner feel so loved by you. We all have a love language. I have mine, which is quality time and words of affirmation, but my boyfriend's is acts of service and physical touch. So I love to spend a lot of time with him, just quality time, but my boyfriend loves acts of service. Now, it doesn't mean that he doesn't love to spend quality time. His top 2 though are acts of service and physical touch. And I love to use this little example that I always share whenever I talk about the 5 love languages book, is that think of 2 people. Let's say I speak only English and I don't know any other language, just English, and I meet someone who speaks Spanish, only Spanish. And I am trying to communicate with that person in English, but they only know Spanish. There's a language barrier. And vice versa, if that person's trying to speak with me in Spanish, but I only know English, I don't understand, I can't comprehend, and I can only guess what it is that they're saying. The same thing applies with the 5 love languages. If I am trying to communicate with my boyfriend with words of affirmation, he'll feel loved, he'll feel appreciated, but will he feel the most loved? Probably not. Will he feel the most loved if I am doing things for him and I am giving him massages, giving him a massage in the neck, holding his hand, just like little head rubs, whatever it is? He will most likely feel most loved when I communicate and love him in his own language. So that's really the premise of what this book is all about, and it's an incredible access to loving your partner the way that they desire most, and vice versa, explaining and communicating to your partner how you desire to feel loved the most. And what I also love and an access from this book is that you don't only have to apply this with a romantic partner. You can actually apply this to a coworker, to a friend, to an employee, a family friend, anyone that you love that is in your life and that you want to show love and appreciation for. So if you're a business owner and you want to express to your employees how grateful and thankful you are for all of their hard work, you can always ask them in the beginning of an interview, or now you can send them a link and be like, hey, let me know what your love language is. And maybe theirs is gift giving. You can probably send a plant, some chocolates, and then give it to them as a token of appreciation. Or maybe it's quality time, and maybe you could take all of your employees out for dinner, or whatever the case is, and express how much you care and appreciate them. So that is a 5 love languages book. It's a phenomenal book, must read, and I'm gonna say that about all of these other books. So let's go on to the next book. The next book I would love to shout out is Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you are probably interested in working on yourself and your relationship, and you've probably heard of Brene Brown. If you haven't, You're welcome. Before you want to dive into this book, you can actually go on Netflix and search up The Call to Courage. Precisely. It's a breath of fresh air, that woman. Before I go on a whole 15-20 minutes of talking so greatly about her, let's get into why I really recommend this book. Brené Brown talks about vulnerability and courage. I remember reading this back in 2019 and thinking, wow, she gets me. Not only did it cause a big impact on myself, this book allowed me to embrace my vulnerability and share as much as I could. So what I mean by that is that when you don't share, when you don't express to your partner, you are robbing the opportunity for your partner to get to know you. And I'm going to say that and honor my boyfriend, because he actually told me that like a year ago. He said, why are you robbing me the opportunity to love you more? That was beautiful. I could have almost cried there, but it's true. You know, when you think about it like that, I was always very reserved. People will always say I'm mysterious. I wouldn't really share much. I like to keep stuff to myself. I don't trust too many people, and he was one of the people in the beginning. I didn't want to like put my whole heart out there, right? I didn't want to be vulnerable. And when you're not vulnerable, people tend to find you a little more inauthentic. And that was something that I was subconsciously working on, because I wasn't thinking, oh, I have to be a little more open and share. To me, that's like but with this book, it really gave me that access to be a little more vulnerable than I am, be a little more courageous. I think when I'm reserved, when I don't share, and when I am to myself and I don't take shit from nobody, I'm courageous. That's me being courageous. And the truth is that vulnerability and truth and authenticity and realness is courageous. That's courageous, because when we share things that we don't want to share, that we're afraid to share, and we do so anyways, that is courage. And that's vulnerability. That is precisely what Brené Brown shares in this book. It's an incredible book and really hits your heart. I recommend this book because what we are and who we are will project into our relationship and our relationship with everyone else in our life. And if we can work on ourselves, and if we can work on becoming better human beings, that will be a reflection of our relationships. So the third book that I would love to recommend is Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller. This book talks about the attachment styles. So what are the attachment styles? There are three. There's the anxious, the avoidant, and the secure. The anxious, people are often preoccupied with their relationships and tend to worry about their partner's ability to love them back. The avoidant is people equate intimacy with a loss of independence and constantly trying to minimize closeness. And I must say, that used to be me. Secure, people feel comfortable with intimacy and are usually warm and loving. So that is a little introduction to the attachment styles and what this book is about. I never heard of attachment styles before I read this book. I mentioned in the beginning of this video how people used to see me as mysterious, as maybe serious. I'm not shy, but I'm definitely reserved in what I share, and that can come off as a little inauthentic. But I also realized with this book is that came off as an avoidance. I've had an avoidant attachment style. I was reflecting so much on all of those relationships, on how I was being in that relationship throughout this entire book. And I truly believe that if it weren't for this book, I would still be an avoidant. This book, again, has introduced and allowed me to be more vulnerable in myself and all the relationships in my life. And because of that, I've become more secure. I've been able to communicate and articulate my feelings, what it is that I felt, and share it with the people that I love, the people that I was communicating and growing a relationship with. I actually am a leader, one of the co-founders for a community by the name of I Aim Community with my partner Celeste. We focus on this book in one of the topics to discuss during the 8 weeks. A lot of the members in the community ended up getting and purchasing this book to read about it. You know, you might think, well, I don't even know what I am, or you might even think you're an anxious, but you're really an avoidant, or you might think you're avoidant, but you're really an anxious. You might be both. Or you might, in the beginning stages of your life, be one certain way, and then as you transition another, and then eventually you're secure, right? Because all of us mature, we learn, we grow, and experience. Awesome book. So last but not least is Keys to the Kingdom by Alison Armstrong. I don't have the book with me, unfortunately, but I ended up reading this off of a PDF online, and I never had an actual physical copy, which I definitely am thinking about purchasing on Amazon and having that copy because it is a phenomenal book. The way Alison writes this book is in a story. I'm not going to go into the details of the story. What I am going to give you guys is what she has gifted me and what I took away from that. Alison speaks on the stages of a man. The stages are the page, the knight, the prince, the tunnel, the king, and the elder. And I don't even know if I put my fingers in the right position, but whatever. When Alison goes into the stages of a man, she talks about why men are the way they are. Men in our life, they're all in a stage. Well, I'm going to use my boyfriend, Fernando. Shout out to you, baby. You have introduced me to the majority of these books, and I love you for that. I love you. Fernando is what I would say in the stages of a prince. So a prince transitioning out into soon to be a king. And I skipped tunnel because the tunnel is a stage where men are struggling, and they would consider this as like a midlife crisis. So he will definitely be transitioning to a king really soon. And it's really funny to say all of this because, like, what do you mean he's transitioning to a king? What does that even mean? I don't want to be going into the whole entire next 2 minutes reading off of my notebook because I literally have all of the stages of a man. So I'm gonna put it on the screen right here, or I will actually share the PDF to the explanation of all of the stages of a man. So as I mentioned, my boyfriend is definitely in the stage of a prince, and I'm going to read the paragraph as to why I believe so. And to give you some reference, my boyfriend and I are going into about 2.5 years of our relationship, a really healthy relationship, and I'm really proud of it. So obviously I'll be talking a lot about it throughout my YouTube channel and all my videos. I have some videos with him as well if you want to see it. But here it is. It is at this point the knight typically assumes the mantle of the prince, a time of his life where his life is about something other than his own pleasure. Princes developing careers are often found working long hours, much to the chagrin of their girlfriends or spouses. They don't have as much time for beer with their buddies, although the time they do get with friends can be precious. During this time, the prince's significant other may begrudge him as singular focus on his career or education, but he has no choice. His identity quite often rides on what he is creating. So my boyfriend is at that stage. He is looking for his princess to build a kingdom with, and that is the stage of a prince, and I am his princess building the kingdom with. It's really awesome to be able to have that language and to understand and be like, my boyfriend is here and I understand that, and I'm like with him, and I know like we're going to transition to the next stage together. My experiences and what I've been able to reflect on when it comes to reading these books is through my romantic relationship, which is why I mention it a lot, but it doesn't only have to be that. You can apply and reflect through any relationship in your life, your brother, your best friend, whoever it is in your life. And even if you're single right now, you can learn all of this and full with tools in your pocket for your future relationship. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's an awesome way of living, to learn now. Just because you're not going through it doesn't mean you can't learn about it. You know what? I'm gonna give you an order in which you should read these books, or which you could read these books in. I'm gonna say Daring Greatly is 1. Read this book first. Vulnerability and Courage. Work on yourself first. All of you first. The 5 Love Languages. Attached. And then Keys to the Kingdom if you desire to understand men a little bit more, because men deserve our understanding. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I can't wait to make more. Drop a comment down below on any other books that you recommend when it comes to love, relationship, yourself, self-development, personal development books all around. I really enjoyed Don Miguel Ruiz, The Mastery of Love, 4 Agreements. I also really love John Gottman, The Gottman Institute. So many other resources and books out there to learn from. So I would love to hear that down in the description below. Yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.